Welcome to the live stream. Sorry for being late. I was having I'm not going to call it an argument, but certainly a spirited discussion with Blenty. We lost track of time. I still say if it has pickles on it, it's not a grilled cheese, it's a melt. It's a melt. It's only a grilled cheese if it has cheese and bread and like butter or some kind of fat. As soon as you start out, you had pickles, you had bacon, you had all that stuff. No longer a grilled cheese. You call it a melt, call it a whatever you want. But like, don't say, hey, do you want a grilled cheese sandwich? I put pickles on it. Maybe I'll make an exception for pickles because pickles are pickles. They're like, okay. they're a condiment.
Okay, so what's up?
You want to keep going.
If you take a burger and you put a whole bunch of different condiments on it, it's still a burger, isn't it?
Because by definition, a burger has lettuce, tomato, onion. When you know, but a grilled cheese sandwich is a thing of purity.
I think you're creating a definition. That's what it feels
All
like.
definitions are arbitrary. Maybe pickles. I might make an exception for pickles.
My definition of a burger is a bun with some meat in the middle. That's beef typically, and then you add things, right? And then it becomes whatever. And
yeah, you can top it. No, a burger can have. But here's the thing: you get some like beef, or you get some tuna. You put cheese on it. You grill it. The bread. That's a tuna melt. That's a patty melt. That's not a grilled cheese sandwich, right? So you can take some bacon, you put some cheese, and you grill it. That's not a grilled cheese sandwich with bacon. It's a bacon melt.
A patty melt is a subset of grilled cheese.
Well, anyway, that's why our live stream was late. So I apologize for that. What is a melt? All right, we're done. This is not what we're here for. We're here to talk about FPV. We're going to take questions from you guys in the chat. Somebody asked, hey, how do I participate in your live streams? And it's, first of all, you're here, you're in the YouTube chat, you're participating. But patrons can participate in the Discord server. If you are a patron and you're not on the Discord server, you're missing out. I mean, unless you just hate Discord. Some people just are like, nah, Discord's not for me. But if you are a patron and you can participate on the Discord server. It's basically the same as the YouTube chat, except I pay slightly more attention to the questions that come from Discord because, like, those people pay my bills. So, it's a VIP section in the club. That's right. Except instead of popping bottles, I don't know what we're doing. Thank you, Sebi D. I haven't heard about your 400k subscribers. I remember saying that's so funny that you said that. I remember saying that. Remember you saying you didn't think you would reach 400k. That's really funny that you said that. When I hit 300,000 subscribers, I said, I don't think I'm going to hit 400,000. And it wasn't like out of a sense of pessimism or like disillusionment or anything like that. But just a sort of, I guessed at the time that I hit 300,000 subs that the trajectory of the FPV industry as a whole and the FPV hobby specifically would be such that I wouldn't hit 400,000 subs. I guessed that the FPV would get regulated to a point where people were less interested in it, hobbyists were less interested in it, and I didn't think it would ever go away completely, but like, there's this sort of plateau trajectory, right? And like you sort of approach 400 but never quite hit it, right? And or I guessed that it would move away from hobby space, it would get regulated, and then there would still be plenty of drone stuff going on in the government military space, but those people wouldn't be watching my videos. And I was wrong, because I hit 400k, and it hasn't really slowed down. My subscriber count hasn't slowed down. I'm not really sure how. And I have to tell you, when I saw my subscriber count about to roll over to 400k, I thought of that moment when I said on a live stream, I probably won't hit 300 or 400. And I was like, wow, well, I guess I was wrong about that. And it's really it warms my heart that you thought that too, and you've been here through that whole period. It's really something. Crom says,
no way, right?
I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I was wrong about 400, so I won't say anything about 500. Crom says that face when most of JB's subs are the military that just don't know how to bind Express LRS. I suspect there's more truth to that than anybody knows. IYKYK. I sometimes hear from people or meet people, and they say, oh, yeah, we all watch your videos at my job. And where my job is, it sort of makes me go, oh, that's something. So, yeah. Anyway, 400K. There we go. There you go. Can the Boxer Crush buttons be changed easily? The labels are impossible to read. The Boxer buttons are just a plastic mold. If you take the Boxer apart, you can see it. I'm pretty sure you can buy spare ones, because Radiomaster does a pretty good job of selling spares. Now, can you change them? What do you want to change them to? There you go. Boxer button set. Can you buy Boxer accessories? I don't know if you can buy the buttons for the Boxer Crush separately, or you got to buy the Boxer Crush. What if I just searched for buttons? Pocket button set. TX15 button set. It used to be that they would sell the metal buttons for the upgraded ones. TX16S replacement button set, Boxer button set. Yeah. Whoops. Boxer button. Yeah. No. It's just those plastic buttons. You could replace them. I don't know what you would replace them with. But there you go. Hopefully I answered your question. Nico, I like your question. It hasn't even been queued yet, but I just saw it. Whoops. There we go. Oh, there we go. What soldering iron do you recommend? Nico, my daily driver soldering iron for years has been the Hakko 888D. So far, I've gone through 2 or 3 tips. That's it. I do wish I had bought the version with the rotary encoder. Am I going through a VPN or something? Why would you do that? I wish I'd bought the version with the rotary encoder instead of the button, so you could just turn the knob up and down instead of pressing a button. But whatever. This is a rock solid iron, $131. It's been great. Is it the best ever? No. It's a solid iron. I got to mention it. Oh, gosh. What is... Oh, I'm blanking. JBC. JBC. This soldering iron is an absolute monster. And you may be thinking, what are you talking about, Bardwell? How could a soldering iron be a... No. Shut up. Now, when you see that it's $725, you're going to say, I can't afford that. You're right. You can't. This iron, I have gotten to... I don't own this iron. I have a buddy, and he builds a lot of drones, and he splurged on this soldering iron. I don't know. Some people buy watches. Some people buy soldering irons. It is... I mean, is it worth the price? Here's the thing. Sometimes when something costs 5 times as much, you look at it and you go, I don't really see it. This iron, the minute you use it, you go, oh, well, I don't know if I would pay $750 for it, but I definitely see where that money went. You pick this thing up. When you put it down, it goes to sleep and it cools down. The minute you take the iron out of the cradle, within 3 seconds, it's at temperature. Okay? You see this little tip down here? This little skinny tip? You probably don't see it because it's all zoomed in. You can do the biggest XT60s, 12 gauge wires, with this tiny tip. Now, you could put a bigger tip on there too and it works better. The heat management of this iron is so good that it just solders anything with that tiny little tip. You can change the tips. It's got this little, see right here? You basically just, the tip, it doesn't unscrew or anything. It just, you pull the tip off, boom, you push it down on a separate tip, and you put a new tip on, so you can change the tips even when they're hot. I've played with this iron, and I thought, if I were teaching people how to solder, I wouldn't give them this iron because it makes it too easy. you need a little bit worse iron to show you your mistakes. This thing is just like, I'm great. It's like, I did some of you may remember a little while back, my wife got me a track day at a racetrack in Las Vegas as an anniversary present. And one of the cars I got to drive was a Ferrari. I don't remember exactly which Ferrari it was. But it was, and the minute I got in the Ferrari, I immediately felt like it was a much better driver. You know? And it's because the Ferrari has so much automatic stability control, traction control, everything, that it was just like, I got this. And this iron is like that. It makes you feel like you're better at soldering than you maybe really are. Anyway, every time somebody asks me about a recommended iron, I have to mention it. I was so shocked at how much better this iron was than anything I'd ever used. And then I saw the price and was like, not for me. But you can buy Chinese clones of the JVC iron. I'm so tempted. I don't know if they're as good, but they're straight clones of the JVC iron. And I bet they're nearly as good. I don't know. Look at this. $71. No way, right? There's no way it's as good as the JVC. And then here is a Reddit question. Does anybody have any experience with these cheap JVC solder station clones? I don't know. Anyway. I'm so tempted. Anyway, I would be tempted. Yeah, the Sugon A1. That's the Sugon A9. That's the one that I was like, oh, if I were going to buy one, that would be the one I'd buy, the clone. You know? Anyway. Then we got to, if you were to spend $60 on one of these TS100 portable soldering irons, they're fine too. They generally do a pretty good job. Look at some reviews because the TS100 I think isn't made anymore. And there's several follow-ups. One from Pinesil, one from Secure, Sequre. I've used various ones of them. They're generally pretty decent. And for the price of $60 or $70, and it's portable, they'll get the job done. Anyway, a little yapping about soldering. All right. Jay Waller is going on a trip soon and wants some advice on how to carry his drones on a plane. Lipos have to be in your carry-on. That is correct. Can I put the quads in check bags? Yes, absolutely. Put the quads in the check bag. End of story. I'm assuming you're not going to some country where drones are banned. So, like, if you're going outside the United States, and again, I'm assuming you're in the United States. That could be wrong. But if you're in the United States, you're good to go pretty much anywhere in the USA. If you go to a country that isn't the USA, some of those countries don't let drones in and you might run into trouble, but do your research. As far as transporting the drones, the quads go in a check bag, the batteries go in your carry-on bag. And then sometimes, like if I'm going for work and I don't want to take a chance on showing up and my check bag gets lost and I don't have a quad, I'll put a quad on my bag, but it's not a big deal. Here's one from Richard FPV. Richard, I'm jumping the line with you because you're a patron. I just scrolled through looking for Discord comments. To expo or not, I've been against it for years and why it's bad for muscle memory, but the extra resolution has me wondering if there's something to it. Hey, Richard, I think that you would have to be a human being with extraordinary dexterity to fly full linear rates with no curve whatsoever. You need so much more precision around the center stick. It's just innate to the way a drone flies, okay? But in order to get the amount of precision you need at center stick to make small, precise movements, you would need your rates to be ridiculously low to the point where you couldn't make sharp turns. There just isn't a way for most human beings with a gimbal to have full linear. And as far as muscle memory goes, muscle memory just is what it is, right? Even if you have expo, you'll still develop muscle memory. I think the idea that you need linear rates for predictability Like, I think that's a concept that people have intellectually that isn't really borne out in practice. Yes, if your rates are super extreme and they look like that, some people call that elbow rates, just looks like an elbow. You can surprise yourself. You'll be going through a turn and suddenly you'll hit that expo curve and your drone will just jerk. Okay, so if you have like really extreme expo, such that you have elbow rates, yes, it can be an issue with predictability. But as long as your expo and your rate curve is not super extreme, you're going to be fine. Just find something that works for you and go with it. Yeah, Valenti.
Can we also mention that Betaflight rates without an expo is not linear?
Correct.
So remember that if you say you don't fly with an expo, that depends on what rate style you fly.
I knew a guy who did that. How do I get the virtual in the new? I need to enable virtual connection. Oh, there we go. If I connect here to my virtual Betaflight flight controller, and we go to the receiver tab, PID tuning tab, rate profile settings. Let me zoom in here. If we look here, can I get this both on screen? If I set an RC rate, oh no, I want this. There we go. That's what I want. Oh, I see. Hang on. Actual rates. Change. Okay, there we go. So here we go. Notice I have 0 expo, but this is not a linear curve. And as I add expo, the curve gets sharper, right? So yeah, clearly expo does something, but this is not linear. It's still got a curve because of the way actual rates work. There still is a curve based on the difference between the center sensitivity. Now, if I increase that center sensitivity all the way up, I will get a full linear rate. That's linear. But people say I don't have any expo, and that's true not just for actual rates, but for Betaflight rates. Standard Betaflight rates, look, RC expo, 0, still got a curve. Because the RC rate and the S rate, that's how they work. Okay? So I knew a guy once and he said, I fly full linear rates. And I was like, wow, that's impressive. And it turns out he just meant I don't have any expo, but you still have a curve. You're not full linear. He was still an extraordinary pilot and flew with higher rates and a flatter rate curve than I could, but he wasn't flying full linear. Is it a good idea to use hand warmers on lithium-ion battery in the winter to have more flight time and avoid damage on them? It depends on how cold it is. If it's like getting down into the, if it's getting close to freezing, maybe below, let's say, 40 degrees Fahrenheit or 5 degrees Celsius, I think maybe it would make sense to try to keep the batteries warm. If it's above about 40 degrees Fahrenheit or 5 degrees Celsius, I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. They will perform better if you keep them warm. There will be less voltage sag, but as you use them, they'll warm up. So as long as they're not ridiculously cold, you should be okay. We got any super chats, Plenty? No super chats whatsoever. Wow. I mean, I guess whatever. I was gonna be like, oh, it's time to read super chats. I really want to argue with you guys about this a little bit more. MediaMarkt says, where's a question from MediaMarkt? I set everything to 0 expo from the get-go. Less smooth, more contact. Whatever works for you, absolutely. But especially for beginners who don't really have enough experience to develop their own muscle memory and their own preferences, it might intellectually make sense to be like, no expo. I want the flattest curve possible. Because, I don't know, you have this idea that it's more predictable. Don't assume that a flat expo curve is going to be the best for you. It's going to force you to have extremely small stick movements near center stick, and most people don't have the dexterity to make precise movements that are that small. Most people are better pilots with a little bit of a curve. Some more, some less. The key is to find what works for you, right? It's why racers typically use lower rates, because it gives them more precision. Find what works for you. Don't go into it with an intellectual preconception about what would be right. Ooh, is grilled cheese just a cheese melt? Yes. Are you saying grilled cheese is a subset of a melt? I would be more receptive to the idea that a grilled cheese is a subset of the family of melt sandwiches than I would be to the idea that like a patty melt or a tuna melt is like a subset of a grilled cheese. I don't know. It just makes sense to me. It feels like grilled cheese. It feels like patty melt, tuna melt. The family of melts is the superset. And then you take something away and you get a grilled cheese. Yeah, Blunty.
When you grill cheese, what happens to the cheese?
It gets grilled.
It melts. Okay.
A grilled cheese, technically you're grilling the bread, not the cheese. It melts. You're right.
Yeah. This is very semantic, and I know that's the point of the argument, but literally they're a subset of each other. They're two ways to describe the same thing.
They can't be a subset of each other. That's not how subsets work.
They're both in the same set. They're both describing the same thing.
One could be a subset of the other.
They're both describing the same thing, though. They don't have to be a subset of each other. One's saying the word it's a melt and saying it's grilled cheese, which means there's melted cheese and the bread's grilled. It's the same thing, right?
I think the superset is melts. It is sandwiches composed substantially of like a melted cheese. So, for example, a hamburger with a slice of melted cheese on top, not a melt. The cheese is not a substantial ingredient. But like a patty melt.
Wait, I'm sorry. The cheese is not a substantial ingredient of
a hamburger.
Well, right, because then it's a cheeseburger.
Well, okay, fair. But like a patty melt, like there's like nearly as much cheese in there as there is meat. Not literally, but right. The tuna melt has lots of melted cheese in there. It's not just like a slice of cheese on top.
Grilled cheese says so much. It's all cheese.
Exactly. So I'm actually receptive to the idea that grilled cheese is a subset of the category of melts, but not the other way around.
I feel like it's the same thing. Like for some reason, there's a bias against the word grilled cheese means only cheese exists in it. But for some reason, a melt means anything can be in the melt. But you're describing cheese that melts. I don't know that we're getting anywhere.
Yeah. No, we're not. Technically, like, you ever had grilled halloumi cheese?
I have not. Are you going to argue that you can grill cheese without bread?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to argue. I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to show you that you can grill cheese. Halloumi, I had this at Nando's.
Hey, Cjo says, what about a bacon grilled cheese? That's how, I mean, this sort of started with a pickle grilled cheese, but
bacon grilled cheese, not a grilled cheese.
Is claiming that that's not a grilled cheese.
That's a bacon melt.
Added bacon.
That's a bacon melt.
That's insane. Okay, if I add spices, what happens?
I would allow
grilled cheese.
Spices are no, but if you like put salt on it, that doesn't change it. Salt is not a defining ingredient unless you're talking about pickles, in which case the absence of salt would mean that they weren't pickles.
Okay, butter.
Butter or fat is an element of a grilled cheese.
So as soon as we add anything other than
cheese,
dairy,
butter, bread, I guess salt or maybe some spices, but like,
all right,
you add bacon.
Trying to figure out
you've changed the essential nature of the sandwich.
All right, now we have to ask: what if you add cream cheese? Or what if you add, you know what I mean?
It would depend on how much cream cheese you add. If you spread cream cheese on it, then the cream cheese is acting as the fat and it gets a pass. But if you have a big slab of cream cheese in there, you've now changed the fundamental character of the sandwich.
All right. Well, at least we know where you stand.
Oh, you'll always know where I stand. Trust me. This is a halloumi cheese. It is a pan-fried and grilled. It is a kind of a stiff cheese. Pretty yummy. That is literally a grilled cheese with no bread. Anyway, now you know. Oh, we got some super chats. Aber. Hi, Aber. Aber the Ham. Are you going to get us all back in the habit of regular streams just to break our hearts again? Aber, I'll always break your heart, but I'll always make it up to you in the end. I'm a wandering soul. I can't change who I am. I can only try to make it worth your time to come back to take me back when I show up at your doorstep. And you'll take me back, and you'll know I'll break your heart again. But it'll all be worth it. I would not put cream cheese on a grilled cheese sandwich, but definitionally, I could imagine a thin enough layer of grilled cheese that it acts as the fat, like the mayo or the butter. Like you can melt. I've made eggs with cream cheese. Before I used to have a girlfriend who put a little bit of cream cheese in the eggs, made them creamy, made them a little bit sour. It was a nice touch. Cream cheese can be spread thin and it acts as a fat. Hey, Media Mark, thank you for €2. Hey, Joseph Tahari, thank you for $5. Grilled cheese doesn't have pickles. Put that on my t-shirt. I'm going to get that tattooed on my other arm. Live stream of Joshua grilling cheese when? Media Mark, thank you for €2 more. And Media Mechanicern. Does the JB Fatshark cable have a known issue? I bought 2 of them and one of them started browning out after less than 3 hours of use. You should contact NewBeeDrone about that. Most likely that means you're drawing too much current through it. Like if you're running the goggles and a standalone receiver off of it or something via a splitter, you can draw too much current and it browns out. Also, you know you can't run it off a 2S battery, right? It'll pass through the voltage. It doesn't work. Pretty sure. It's been a little while. Are Pop-Tarts just sweet ravioli? I don't have an opinion about that. Excuse me. That's a great question. Greetus FPV bought a Bamboo A1 Mini and bought a Polymaker box and dryer. I want to learn more about this Polymaker box and dryer since it's hermetic. Is this it, the PolyDryer? It is both a storage box and a dryer. That's hot. That's interesting. So it dries them and it stores them. So that's really interesting. Here's my thing. So my preferred dryer is the Print Dry. I hate this sponsored results. Like at the top, I'm searching for the Print Dry. I don't want to see Creality filament dryer box. I don't want to live in this world. I don't want to live in this world. I quit. I'm so frustrated these days with just the amount of the whole fucking above the fold. I typed Print Dry filament dryer. I only want one goddamn thing. And the whole above the fold is sponsored results from competitors to Print Dry. That's not what I want. All right. Anyway, this is what I use. I'm not saying it's better. I'm just, it's interesting. I've tackled this problem in a different way. So this is the Print Dry I use this because it goes up to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hot enough for nylon. Nylon, I had some issues with another dryer that it said it was hot enough to dry nylon, but I was getting shitty results. And this guy I know who's really into 3D printing and knows what he's talking about was like, you got to get this dryer. I print nylon a lot. This is the dryer I use. It's the only one. I was like, okay. This one is like $200. So it's a little more expensive. It's $200 for 2 spools, granted. But the problem is it's not sealed. So if you don't run it all the time, the humidity goes up. Hello, shop now. The humidity goes up, and so like I was like, well, that's no good. So here's what I did. I found some of this stuff because I have silica beads, and I was trying to bake my silica beads, and I cooked them too hot, and I ruined them. I was like, well, that sucks. And I went searching for an alternative. This stuff is a desiccant. It is aluminum silicate. And the number one reason I like it is that it's a rock. So when you cook it in the oven, you can't damage it. So that's nice. It holds way more moisture than silica beads. So it can go longer without being recharged. But then I had the thought. I bought some of these little cloth packets, and I filled them up with this aluminum silicate, and I put them in the bottom of my print dry. And so now I run my print dry for 12 hours. It dries out the beads, right? And then for like a week to 2 weeks, my hygrometer reads 10% humidity. And then eventually the aluminum silicate fills up with moisture, and that hygrometer starts to climb, and then I just run the print dry for another 12 or 24 hours. It dries them back out again, 10%, good to go. So I only point that out to you because if you don't have a hermetically sealed PolyDryer box, right, you can still store your filament in a non-sealed box and keep it relatively dry for a long time with this aluminum silicate desiccant beads. So I felt really proud of myself for discovering that. Anyway, what was the actual question that I'm answering? I've forgotten. Any other brand of dryer that's hermetic and could be used for TPU spool storage? I don't know about that. This one looks really good. For $80 for one spool. Granted, I paid $200 for 2 spools, so it's a better deal than that. The other advantage of this one, in addition to being hermetic, is that you can have 2 spools at 2 different temperatures, whereas the print dry will only do 1 temperature for the whole thing. I guess the question would be is how effective is it as a dryer? And maybe it's very effective. I have had some of these that like don't have the airflow or don't hit the temperature they say they're going to hit. This one looks pretty good though. $80. Yeah. Seems like a winner. Built-in hygrometer. The other question is, can it dry? Well, I guess it doesn't need to dry forever if it's properly stored. What would be really cool, and maybe it has this, would be if it has a setting where when the humidity goes up, it kicks in and it runs for 24 hours. And then it just is sealed again. The other problem I think people have run into is if it's hermetically sealed and you run the heater, there's nowhere for the moisture to go. There has to be some air circulation to let the moisture leave. And I don't know if this addresses that in some way. If it's fully sealed, it just drives the moisture into the air, but then when the air cools down, the moisture has nowhere to go. Oh. Interesting. Interesting.
I have the Sunlu fillet dryer. I can recommend that as working very well.
Which one, Blunty?
The 4P, the 4-way. Yeah.
This one?
That one. Yeah, the S4.
Oof. That's a lot.
That's the E2.
$350. Oh. Whoops, wrong one.
This one? S4. Yeah.
4 spools, $140. All the same temperature, right? Yeah.
Yeah, all the same temperature, so you got to pick.
That's fine. That's fine. It's not big.
Yeah, but it works very well for TPU. Is what I use it for.
Mm-hmm. Can you print from within?
Yes, it's got 4 Bowdens coming out, like one out of each end at the ends.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then it does what you said. So you can either set it to run for a certain amount of time, or you set it to humidity, and when the humidity gets low enough, it'll kick back on.
Well, I tell you what. This print dry, I'm much less impressed with this print dry now that I see some of the other stuff that's out there. But again, the problem is I was printing nylon, which requires, it's very sensitive to moisture, and it requires a higher temperature to drive the moisture out. So I got to remind myself that the whole reason I went to this was, see, this one only goes up to 70C. The print dry goes up to 85C. Maybe this works fine with nylon. But I had another dryer, and maybe it was a shitty dryer, but it said it could do nylon, and it wasn't. So, does it list nylon as one of the supported? Let's see. PA, is that PA is nylon? PAHT is nylon? I think it is. Well, anyway, I bet you don't really need 85 to do nylon. I bet I just had a shitty dryer. Anyway,
part of it too is if you keep it. Like if it ships dry, that's the main thing, right?
Yeah.
So you can get it shipping dry and then you get it in a dry box right away and that's sealed and stays at good relative humidity, you're good to go. You don't need the temp.
Yeah.
But if
you
need the temp to pull the moisture out. Yeah, you need the temp to pull the moisture out. Otherwise, the temp is just lowering the humidity in the box, keeping it from dragging any more in.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the print dry works pretty well because it has air exchange with the environment. It does mean that then, because it lets the moisture get out, I don't know, maybe I'm just justifying it. Anyway.
The S4 vents out the bottom, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Rabbit by Design, thank you for a $10 super chat. I like cheese. How's AM32 been? AM32 development is still happening. Many manufacturers are switching to AM32. Product continues to go on and on and on. Coming up is Tiny Whoop racing season. It is coming up. Shoot FPV has a question in the Discord. Let's see if I can find it. Shoot FPV. Where is Shoot FPV? For people going to their first race, is there anything you'd recommend they learn to do to make it easier, or what to expect that would be different? Advice for people going to their first race. Number one thing that you need to learn to do is change your channel quickly and efficiently. And then don't power up when it's not your turn. Don't like plug in real quick just to check something and knock people out of the air. Honestly, almost everything else, and like if you're slow changing your channel, people will obviously, they're not going to be assholes about it. Like, I don't know, if you're at nationals, maybe people will be a little more stressed out. But if you're just at a Tiny Whoop race, no one will be stressed out. Even at like national Tiny Whoop races, Tiny Whoop people are so chill. They just understand. But like, the race director is going to be like, okay, we're going into qualifying. Bardwell, you're on channel 1. And you're like, got it. And then you want to go put your quad on channel race 1, you know, and like however you do that, probably you should do that by plugging in USB and either using your phone or a laptop. If you have to power up to change channel, then somebody potentially is already on your channel and it's fine. You'll make it work. You just kind of put your head down next to your antenna and pick up your signal and change channel. But, you know, then you're going to go through qualifying and they're going to go into brackets And as you go into brackets, a lot of times they'll be like, okay, you're on channel 6 and you got to change channels. And it just makes everything go smoother if you're able to easily and quickly change channels. And just, you know, then other than that, have a good time. Be ready. Like, pay attention to the rotation. If you know you're in heat number 3 or whatever, and they'll just go through qualifying. Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4. Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4. If you know, like, pay attention. If you're up in the next group, like, get your stuff ready to go. And again, it's just about making things go smoothly. Don't like stress about it, but just, you know, since you asked for advice. And then when it's time to actually race, especially if it's your first race, don't worry about winning. You probably aren't going to win. Just sort of, you know, learn the course when they show the course, you know, and try to just run the course. Try to go fast, obviously, but like mostly just try and have a nice clean race, a nice smooth race. Do your best. Try to finish without crashing out. And, you know, there you go. Don't just sit in front of a gate and hover. Well, so somebody could crash into you. I don't know. Have a good time. Get to know people. Meet people. I'm trying to think of positives. Right? Yeah. Have you tested the 2-watt Walksnail VTX? Yes, I've used the Walksnail GT extensively. I have the Moonlight, and what's set to 1200 milliwatts, it starts with one signal bar missing. I can't really speak to that. That has not been my experience with the Walksnail GT, though. Did I say hygrometer? I meant hydrometer? Hygrometer? Hygrometer measures...
Hygrometer is correct. It measures humidity. Hydrometer measures water density.
Oh. What measures the wetness of a soil, like for your plants? Is that also a hygrometer?
I always called it a moisture meter. I'm not sure.
You would know. You have extensive experience growing plants. Okay. A lactometer sounds like something that a woman with a new baby would use. I almost said a pregnant woman, but that's not quite right. Hygro is Greek for wet. Hydro is Greek for water. We're just making this stuff up. It's like the definition of a grilled cheese. They just made it all up. Like in the watch world, a chronograph is a stopwatch, which is wrong because graph means to write. The suffix graph means to write. So a chronograph would be something with like a paper readout that writes down time. But a chronograph in the watch world is a stopwatch. A chronometer is a watch. Okay? They're just making this stuff up as they go. And then what's a chronoscope? I think a chronoscope would actually be, I don't know. I have a race on Saturday. Johnny5, good to see you, man. But it requires me to flash all my quads. There's a new spec called Joe Spec. And I'm debating if it's worth it. Why am I so lazy? John, you're so lazy because your parents brought you up wrong. It's because you're, what generation do we hate right now? You're a Gen X, Boomer, Alpha, and all the people of your generation have no discipline. You need to man up. You're welcome. I don't know. I didn't want to talk to you that way, but you needed it. MediaMarkt. No, I have not tried GTA5's Quadcopter Redux. Oh, you know what? I have, actually. I did that with no, I just watched. I watched a live stream with TAC FPV and his son flying it. I didn't actually do it. Whoops, my bad. I thought for a minute I was on that live stream. I'm not sure that I was. I know I don't own GTA 5 and I don't have it installed on my computer with the mod, so there's no way that I was able to fly it. No, I haven't done that. My son calls me a boomer. And I know that what he means is an old person. A person older than me. But I'm like, boomers are a thing, and I'm not that. I'm not a boomer. You're just wrong. And I tell him. And then I realize as I'm lecturing him about the definition of a boomer that I'm acting like a boomer. And he's right. There you go. This question hurts my soul. J. Blunt Brown asks, I have a Radiolink T12D with an ELRS module attached. I can't figure out how to get it to bind. So first of all, do you have a module with a menu and a screen? Because I don't think the Radiolink can run the ExpressLRS Lua script. Can it? I don't know about that. What I would do is I would refer you to this video, ExpressLRS Complete Beginner Guide 2025, and then I would refer you to how to bind ExpressLRS. And I know you're thinking, I know how to bind it. I'm doing those things. But I would just ask you to carefully watch this section and try to follow through step by step. Maybe there's something that you're doing wrong or something like that, that you're missing. There's two main ways to bind. One is with the 3-plug method, and one is with the web interface by putting the bind phrase in. And I've got instructions for both of those. Flashing a receiver via web UI, Wi-Fi web interface, but I would start with the 3-plug method and see if that works for you. But unfortunately, if you say, well, I can't bind it, there's like a million ways that could be going wrong. And without actually following you through it step by step, I don't know which way is going wrong. Mike O says, I recently upgraded from box goggles to a real pair of FPV goggles. Analog only so far. I don't need any bells and whistles, but I'm okay paying for good value. Oh, you're ready to upgrade. I thought you said you recently upgraded. Recommendations for good goggles, analog goggles. We talked about this yesterday on the live stream. And I don't mean to just put you off, but I also don't want to do 5-10 minutes of the same topic that we did yesterday. Long story short, top of the line HDZero V2 goggles, great analog goggles, but in the US, $800. Outside the US, 600 and change, 650 maybe. I don't remember the exact number. So pretty expensive, but very good goggles. If you want to save a little money, get the SkyZone Sky 04X or Sky 040. They're decent analog goggles, not quite as premium as the HDZero, but still pretty good and money well spent. And as Blunty pointed out yesterday, if you buy those in the US, you pay a markup because of the tariffs. Blunty asserts that the SkyZone website will sell them to you and ship them to you in the US in such a way that you don't pay the tariff. They guarantee it. Interesting. I know that is a thing that does exist. If that works for you, then you'd be able to get them at a significantly lower price, about $150, maybe almost $200 cheaper than if you buy them in the US, and that makes them very, very economical. So that's the short version. Same question here from Roggy Rogue. Are the Sky 040 Pros good? Yeah, they're good. Depending on the price, you might think about getting the HDZeros Again, it depends on how much you're paying for the 040. No, that's sorry, it's the 04X. The 04X gets close to the HDZero goggles in price. The 040 does not. They're good for sure. Let's see. I have a T-Motor F7 Mini. The 04 air unit does not connect with MSP on UART 3. Verify the 04 works with another drone with the same settings. Could it be firmware related or is it cooked? I would try a different UART. I would also make sure that nothing else is connected to UART 3. Like if you have your receiver soldered to UART 3 and your air unit on UART 3, that'll cause an issue. But good troubleshooting trying a different drone. Which analog VTX has the best penetration? With a dual, it doesn't matter. Your antenna doesn't matter. I mean, your antenna matters, but the VTX is gonna a VTX that puts out more power is gonna have better penetration. As long as you have the same antenna on both of them. Which goggles you have doesn't affect which VTX you buy. In other words, it's not like, well, if you've got Sky Zone goggles, buy this VTX, but if you've got HDZero goggles, buy this other VTX. They're all the same. Like you probably just want more power. The GEP-RC Matin VTX is one I've had good experiences with. The GEP-RC Matin. There's a 2.5 watt version of the GEP-RC Matin. It's pretty solid. $60. Granted, that's the outside the US pricing. They actually make the GEP-RC Matin up to like 5 watts, maybe a little more. I mean, the thing with analog is you can always just crank more power at it, right? 3.3 gig VTX, interesting. Here's a 2.5 watt. Here's a 10 watt. GEP-RC Matin 10 watt VTX. It's a big ass VTX. It puts out a lot of power. So, like, which one has the best penetration? Well, this one outputs 10 watts. It's got a lot of penetration, but it's freaking enormous. I don't know if you want it, but there you go. Here's a 5 watt version. Not quite as enormous. I think the 2.5 watt is a sweet spot where it's not enormous, but still has pretty good range and penetration. What is this? 3.3 gig. With 3.3G signal alarmer. What does that mean? Oh, this is the VRX. Switch to scan mode to scan all available channels. The strongest signal will be displayed and a beeper will sound, increasing in speed as the signal strength increases. Blunty, can you think of a reason why you would want to scan for a transmitter on a channel and then beep louder and louder as it gets closer and closer? What a world. What a world. Oh my gosh. Oh man. It's so fun to see all these companies selling these products and you're like, oh, I can't think of why a hobbyist would want that. And everybody's like, stop, don't say it. It's for hobbyists. Yeah. It's for hobbyists, everybody.
Chad explains it's for finding a lost quad.
Yeah, it's for finding your lost quad. That's exactly what it's for. That's correct. That is exactly the reason why. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Here's a 1.2 gig VTX, 5.8 gig, 2.5 watt. Here's a 2.5 watt VTX with no fan. That's interesting. I've always used the maintenance with a fan, but like some people say the fan is overkill, especially if you're flying. Yeah, these have been, here's a 3 watt. These have been real good for me. There's others out there, but these have been real good. So just mention what I know. Billy Bardwell, who are you really? You changed your username. Are you actually you're Billy Bardwell on Discord, but that just means you renamed yourself. Where are you, Billy Bardwell? Billy Bardwell. What's your actual username? Blunty, is there a way to figure out before Billy changed their name what their old username was? There it is. Round Spy 441. Change nickname. Let's see. What are we going to name Billy Bardwell? Hello. I'm trying to type. Apparently I can't type. My screen is locked up. There we go. I don't know why Discord does this in browser. It just... yeah. Yeah, I don't know why it does this. Do not change them unless you're enforcing a naming system or clearing a bad nickname. Haha! My server. I do what I want. I don't know what's going on with Discord in the browser. It freezes up like this. That's acceptable. There we go. Okay, Billy Bardwell. Doink. Wait, I nicknamed him. Why is it not changed? It should have changed. There we go. It changed. Oh. He could just rename himself back, I'm pretty sure. Can he just rename himself back? I kind of like it, though. $5 super chat from Richard FPV. LEDs on top or bottom of the arms. I don't know. Do you want to be seen coming or going? Both. Both. Top and bottom, since you asked. Why not? Thank you for $5 from Build and Break 44. Thanks for all your help with the videos. Curious what antennas you're using on a GX12 and whether the upgrade is worth it. My antennas are the Radio Master dual band antennas from the Nomad. Is the upgrade worth it? I don't know. I kind of just did it because I was bored. I do think I've noticed some reduction in range with the built-in antennas in the GX12 compared to the external antenna on other radios. Like when you're flying, you see LQ drop at all, and I just thought I'd give it a try. So, have you had to fix the 04 Pro UFL connector on the circuit board? Asks Gross J83. Thank you for $5. No, I haven't. If mine broke, I would not try to fix it. I would just scrap the 04 and get a new one. I mean, that once the UFL connector pops off, like, it's pretty fiddly to solder it back on again. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's pretty freaking fiddly. Oh, time is it? Oh my gosh, you got a whole another hour of this? Yeah, a lot of times the traces will get damaged when it rips off, so it's not always worth it to fix it. I mean, if you got nothing to lose, you may as well fix it. You may as well try. Just watched your video on lipo safety. Thanks from Ozenver for a €5 super chat. Now I'm scared of every device in my house. Well, mostly they don't light on fire. So, you know, don't live in fear. JRunsVold7150 asks, a long time ago, you called the Beta FPV HX115 HD the best toothpick with onboard HD recording. Do you think anything has taken its place since? The thing is, now, anything with a DJI O4 air unit in it has onboard recording, right? It used to be, before we had digital drones, that an analog quad with onboard recording was really an unusual thing. Now everything with an 04 Lite has onboard recording and does a better job than the HX115. So yeah, probably it's like a Flywoo Flylens 85 or something like that with a DJI 04 Lite. Are there any HD goggles out there that do analog out of the box? The HDZero V2 goggles do analog out of the box. What do you think of the Quadwrex Baron frames? Let's look at them. I'm not familiar with them. Quadwrex Mini Baron. Baron V1. Kind of reminds me of Drew Camden's Skyliner. Looks very familiar to the Skyliner. Very similar to the Skyliner. It's got, yeah, vertical camera plates, carbon, not metal.
Is the bottom a single plate?
I believe it is. It does kind of looks. I can't tell. I can't tell. It might be. Bottom plate with press nuts. It doesn't say arms. Oh no, arms, wiggle plate and cage stiffener. So it's separate arms. Yeah, it's separate arms. It's a little hard to tell much about this because the picture, you know, we don't have a lot of pictures to work with. Let's see if I can find more pictures. The Baron by Quadwrex. It looks fine. One of the things about frames with this design is how the camera cage attaches to the body. Drew, with his Skyliner, put an extra standoff here in the middle to sort of keep everything together. Here, let's look. Skyliner Mark III. No, there's two. See, he's got two standoffs here. So right here, where the camera cage slots in, we've got these two standoffs holding everything together, keeping it from ripping out. That was a common failure point. I don't know what the Baron has done. I can't quite tell. I'm not saying that's an issue, but it is a design thing I note. It looks like a pretty standard frame in other ways. Like, I mean, not to take anything away from the work that was put into the design of it, which I'm sure was substantial, a lot of little design decisions. But like, these days, there's not a lot like of innovation in frame design. Soft mounted camera, I like it. It allows you to adjust the camera spacing for different cameras by changing in 3D print. Provides a little vibration isolation for the DJI camera. I like the bumpers here on the front to help keep the carbon from wearing away. We got these standoffs right here, which are probably helping reinforce where the camera cage engages. That's good. And you got a stand. No, that's a stack screw. It looks like a solid frame. Looks like solid frame. 3 standoffs. Narrower in the back. Got the little booty there. Looks solid. I do like this style of camera cage. Lets you have up tilt, protects the camera really well. I'm a fan of it. Richard FPV says, today I learned that my AMA Fields Freya has a waiver up to 1,200 feet. It was mighty nice up there. Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, quite a few of them do. There's like a special use designation. Some are 700 and some are 1200.
And you're allowed to go up there?
Yeah. They got
As long
a special use registration in that specific location, and I believe the AMA has to have somebody on site that understands the rules or something. There's like specific things they had to sign off on, but they're like special deals they made with the FAA. They literally were like, are special sets of pieces of paper. They're not under the free, as far as I know, they're not under the FRIA designation. They're like a special use paper that's filed for the location, like a fixed site, the way fixed sites used to work. Either way, I will say, we never really expected that to happen, and the AMA just started getting them done with the FAA. So I'm pretty impressed that happened, and it is good to open up the, the avenue for that thing to happen.
Yeah. If you're up there at 1,200 feet, like, so manned aviation is supposed to stay above 500 feet in general. Once you get up there, even though you're allowed to be there, presumably you're still obligated to see and avoid manned traffic.
Yes.
Like, it's not like there's a TFR.
I think there might be some sort of marker on the maps based on that, because it's a special use filed. I'm not 100% sure. No matter what, you're always required to yield. That's the rule of UAS.
Well, here's obviously, but like, if I know I'm flying into active airspace, even if I have permission to be there, I'm going to be a lot more paranoid. I'm still going to be paranoid.
Well, it's only Class G, but yes.
Yeah. If I know that when that pilot looks at his flight plan, he sees or she sees some kind of marker there that says active drone flights up to 1,200 feet, then I might be a little bit more relaxed and knowing that they know I'm going to be there.
Yeah, Mattercat, I know there's nothing on for FRIAs on sectionals, but this is, as far as I understand it, the 700s and 1200s are not FRIAs. They're considered fixed sites, or there's some kind of special way they've handled it to get the allowance. But I'm not, they might or may not be. Yeah.
I mean, for example, if I go to, let's...
like, I know when we had to look them up, it was kind of difficult to actually figure out which ones had the allowance.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can do this. Hold on. This may just be a complete bust. Oh, I even have this camera up here. Hold on. Will this work? Give me 1 second. This might work. I'm going to look at a sectional, and we're going to see what we see. I don't know. I need this.
Yeah, Mattercat, to be clear, that's why I'm saying they're not a FRIA. Because the FRIA can't be, you're exactly correct in that the FRIA is not supposed to be airspace. It's not handled like that. There's some kind of special paperwork they have filed with the FAA, and I think it's under a fixed site, because there's an old term called a fixed site that you would use before FRIAs existed, so you could have a fixed site flying location filed with the FAA. But I could be incorrect about that. I just know it's like some other outside FRIA process where they've got them specially licensed.
Okay, so where is this airfield? He actually said, AMA blog, flying sites in Class G airspace. I can't see the click. Where is this airfield? Granted higher altitudes. Then I need to have sectional maps. So hold on. Maps. Where FAA sectional. There it was. Okay, so now I've got sectional maps. Now I need to... National authorization. Oh, all AMA club sites in Class G airspace. View the national... I need to find one. Where is the list of them? That's not helpful. That's really
so
interesting.
there's a specific addendum on the I linked to the.
How can I find one of these AMA sites in Class G airspace and look at a sectional to see?
There's a list, but I don't have the attachment list, so let's see.
Yeah. AMA.
Mattercat says they're on AeroAir as yellow sites.
Yeah. AMA club sites near me. Club finder. City. Oh, there's one near me. I know one near me, absolutely. Find.
I'd be curious if their label is anything other than Freya on the maps we get.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know how I'm going to find it on a sectional. And I'm not sure how much live stream time I want to spend. Oh, here we go. Sky vector. So if I can search for... Can I search for my zip code? No. Is that Atlanta? What is that? Marietta. Okay, that's Atlanta. So if I go northeast from Atlanta... God. What's that? Charlotte? Knoxville. Here's Knoxville. Okay. Now, UT. Crossville. I know there's an AMA site near, let's see. Ugh, I cannot read this actual map. Here's Loudon Dam. That's near where it is, I think. Sweetwater, okay. There's no, like, Lovell, Lenore City. I'm homing in on it. There should be an AMA club somewhere around here.
So there's a bunch of caveats in this document.
Yeah.
That cover, let's see, all operations must be VLOS as a fixed
Milton
site
Hill Lake.
reference.
It's right over here. Milton Hill Lake. Go ahead, Plenty, sorry.
For operations at fixed sites within 2 nautical miles of an airport in Class G, the AMA must have a letter of agreement with the airport owner-operator regarding the conduct of AMA. Yeah. The responsible person must ensure AMA members are briefed for awareness for possible increased aviation activity in the area. Operational limitations, and they do refer to it as a fixed site. So I believe it's like I was talking about. It's through the old fixed site system versus the FRIA system.
Yeah. I'm not even sure. I'm not sure I can find it on this map, unfortunately. And I'm not sure I want to spend a ton more time looking for it. There's McGee Tyson. Wait, that's McGee Tyson? If that's TYS, then I'm going to be Lenore City. I can't even read this fucking map. Anyway. There you go. I don't even have a scale. All right. Well, I don't know if it'll show up on a sectional or not. That's about as long as I want to keep looking. That was fun for a minute. Didn't really go anywhere. There you go. Oh. Here are the GPS coordinates. Can someone who knows how to read a sectional look on the sectionals and see? Here are the coordinates from Gangrene OW in the Discord. Can someone look at a sectional and see if it's marked on the sectional or not? Sounds like Arrowware and other sites like that do show them. Anyway, let's move on. Thoughts on NewBeeDrone's NX69 batteries. NX69 is the new connector from NewBeeDrone. It's a new high-performance connector for little micro batteries. And the thing is, anytime someone comes out with a new battery connector, everybody has to buy new batteries with that connector on them. That's annoying. Also, I don't know How many NX69 batteries are out there?
Isn't this the one that works with PH2 though?
Sure, but then you're not getting you buying it because you want the good performance, right? I mean, you're saying you still get the same performance advantage? No. You're not going to get the same performance advantage.
You get some performance advantage because it's not on both sides, and you don't lose anything because every other connector you buy in this industry you can't use with your current connectors.
Fair.
At
least they made it backwards compatible, is your point.
Yeah, NewBeeDrone does some hot PS all the time. I think this is great. I think the fact that you release a new connector, you think it's better, you test it and show that it's better, but it still works with old PH2 that most whoops will already have, I think is great. That's my personal opinion.
Did you just say something nice about a proprietary thing NewBeeDrone did? Are you feeling okay?
Because it's not proprietary, it works with your old connectors. That's why I like it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'll give you that. And if it's a lower resistance connector, it's better if both the battery and the quad have it, but it's still a little bit better if just the quad has it. That's fair too. That's a fair point. Is it backwards compatible?
Now the way the other companies did it, right, was BT 2.0 came out from Beta FPV, and then G&B made a connector that works with the BT2 connector.
Yep.
In one direction. So that's another way to go. I would have been fine with that as well, like living in that ecosystem. But I think this makes sense. There's a ton of whoops out there with PH2 on them. This snaps right in, and you can upgrade to their pigtail if you want and get a little extra.
Do the NX batteries work on a PH 2.0 connector? Does it go both ways?
Yes.
Wow, that's like so different from what NewBeeDrone usually does, which is release something proprietary. You can only put their motors on their flight controller or something. And it may have a performance advantage, but it's just annoying. This is we got to give the number of times we've criticized them for doing proprietary bullshit. We got to give them credit, right, Plenty?
Yeah, that's why immediately, I haven't complained about this one time. I think this is great. I'm happy. If it wasn't compatible in one direction or the other, that'd be fine. But it basically it is almost the same as a PH2 plug, but they made the internals better, and it carries better current. And to me, that's great. You did a good job.
Would it surprise you to know that I once had a phone call with someone at NewBeeDrone about the not just that we were critical of them. I don't want to give the impression that they were like, "Hey, you don't talk mean about us," but just that we were so unabashedly shit talking them that I got a phone call and he was just like, "Are we good, bro?" Would that surprise you?
No, it would not surprise me.
I'm not sure. I don't remember if I talked to you about that at the time.
I think you did.
Yeah, okay. Well, here you go, NewBeeDrone. You did it. You gave us what we wanted.
All you have to do is things that are nice and friendly for the hobby and compatible with other products. It's very easy.
Oh, Plenty. We're so close to getting out of this segment without getting me another phone call. Let's just go. Zenver, thank you for 10 euros. JB, please decide for me. I love this. I'm ready. What am I going to decide? Between the Orqa V2s, the Sky 4X Pro, and the HDZeros. There you go. Done. You're welcome. HDZeros. HDZero V2s, no question. The only reason not to get them as the best analog goggle today is the money. But you clearly don't care about money because you put them in there as an option. So there you go. AMA clubs are so toxic. Don't join them. Thank you for $2. Funny you say that. I was at an AMA club last week. I went down. I spent a day at Get FPV doing some work, meetings, business. And Get FPV doesn't have a flight field that they own where they can do test flying and stuff. Apparently real estate in Sarasota is extremely expensive. Who knew? So they work with this AMA field nearby. And as is always the case, there are some tensions between the FPV pilots and the fixed wing pilots. So we were there, 8 in the morning. Nobody else is there. And they're showing me some drones that they have, and we're doing drone stuff, just flying it around the field, flying loops and stuff. And while we're flying, these fixed wing guys show up, and one of them, we're grounded, we're talking. One of them puts an airplane in the air, and then we take off a drone, not realizing that the airplane is in the air. And the fixed-wing pilot comes over, and he's like, hey, we're flying left patterns. We were flying cross-traffic, and fixed-wing guys don't like that because you can crash. And he was completely fine about it. He was like, hey, we're flying left patterns. You guys are flying cross-traffic. The guy from GetFPV, who he walked up to, he realized he effed up. And he immediately went, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yes, absolutely. To which the fixed-wing pilot goes, hey, take it easy, bud. You don't have to, don't worry, instead of going, oh yeah, no, I'm so sorry. Like, he did have a big reaction, but he didn't, come at him. He, practically groveled. No offense. And the fixed-wing guy who was coming to complain immediately is like, whoa, take it easy, and, starts reprimanding. You don't have to be like that. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I grovel so hard? Apologizing for, it wasn't in any way sarcastic. He sincerely just was like, oh, shit. He felt bad, and he apologized sincerely, but also he was like, guys. He reacted big because he was like, we screwed up. We need to fix this now. And the other guy, the fixed-wing guy wasn't like, hey, that's cool, dude. No, yeah, you're good. He was like, hey, you don't have to be like that. So I was like, okay, well, then, one of the FPV guys was flying a drone, and we were flying the drone off to the side because we didn't want to get in the way of all the fixed-wing pilots, the two of them that were there. We were flying it sort of off to the side in a little sort of grove of trees. And there are some shipping containers that they use to store things. And the dude who was flying went over to one of the shipping containers and kind of peeked in the door of the shipping container. Unbeknownst to him, the president of the flying club was in the shipping container. And the dude flying looked in the shipping container, saw a person, and went, oh, okay, and flew away. And the president comes storming out of the shipping container. You guys are grounded! You guys are grounded for the rest of the day! You're done! You're done for the day! Because of the safety violation created by the drone that flew too close to him. And I turned to the GetFPV guys and was just like, if I was trying to test a new drone, trying to do my job so that I could release a new product, and this guy came and told me I was grounded for the day, I would have a hard time accepting that. But I would be enraged and be like, I got shit to do. But obviously it's his field. It's an AMA field. He's right. It's his field. It's an AMA field. You got to file it. And I'll be like, well, I ain't flying it. I'm going to drive an hour inland to a dirt lot that at least I own and I could do what I want on it. But that's just me. And as it was happening, I was like, obviously this is how it was going to go. You put FPV drones at an AMA field and eventually someone's going to get their backup. So, anyway. I was like, why are we even here? Anyway. You guys are grounded. You're done for the day. Oh, I'm done for the day. Okay. I guess I'm done for the day. It's like, do you even want me here? Do you even want me here? No, you don't. I don't want to be somewhere where I'm not wanted. I don't want to be somewhere where I'm going to be abused for the privilege of existing. So, anyway. But that's just me. And, you know, they do their best, I think, to get along. They need access to the site. They probably appreciate being allowed to be there. But just like there's people you get along with and people you don't. I want an indoor HD Walksnail whoop. Is the Mobilite 7 still one of the better options? Yeah. Mobilite 7 HD Walksnail. Oh, Walksnail? You have very few options. You have very few options with Walksnail. If you can get any whoop with a 1S Walksnail VTX on it, buy it. There are almost none of them. Gangrene OW says there is nothing marking his flight field on a sectional. So there you go. Sectionals do not show the FRIAs. I hope that doesn't. If anybody knows what flight field I'm talking about, and God forbid, I forget sometimes that like people all over the country watch my stream. If anybody, God forbid, knows what flight field I'm talking about or knows the people involved, please don't fuck it up for Luminaire, who is using that field to do work and is trying to just, you know, get along with their neighbors. Don't make me regret telling that story. Now that I've told it, I was like, oh, that could go badly. So please don't. Okay. Dimitri wants to know why SpeedyBee flight controllers became 30% more expensive on AliExpress in comparison to 2024. No clue. I honestly don't know. I literally don't know. Is it because of raised non-hobby demand or because PCBA components became more expensive? It's hard to believe that the PCB components became expensive enough to justify a price increase from $55 to $75. That's a pretty big markup. So suggests that there's increased demand, but honestly, I don't know. I would just be speculating. And you know I never do that. Can you make a PID tuning video for dumdums? No. Dumdums don't PID tune. PID tuning videos for dumdums are just sort of, it's like, well, if quad does this, do that. I mean, it's just kind of throwing darts at a board. The default PIDs are very good most of the time. And if you're just, you know, PID tuning with vibes, sometimes you make things a little better, but then you've made things worse and you don't realize the ways you made it worse. You're just sort of feeling around in the dark until you start using black box. If you're PID tuning without black box, it's not saying you can't do it and get something, but like it's very rough. And most of the time, what you need to do is just fly the defaults, which are pretty good, or fly a preset, or learn to PID tune properly with black box, but that's not for dumdums. You know? It's like saying, hey, can you teach me how to adjust the timing of my motor for dumdums? I don't know. Like, there are certain things that are inherently complex and there's no way to sort of dumb them down. And PID tuning, it's not entirely like that, but here's the thing. Back in the days when the default PIDs were bad and flight controllers flew like shit, it was worth it to try to PID tune them just because they were so bad that if you could make them even a little bit better, it was worth it. These days, the defaults are very good. PID tuner, the default Betaflight PIDs fly very well on a lot of drones. When you go PID tuning, like, you might make it a little bit better here, a little bit worse there, and you kind of don't know. So you use black box, and black box tells you what's actually happening. The question would be, why do you want to PID tune? Is there something wrong with the way your quad flies? Right? Who's that handsome devil? Wow. Oh, apparently I am not on my face cam this whole time. Oh, smoldering. Damn. I got to get rid of my glasses. I got to get LASIK or something. Oh, look good. I'm building my whoops while watching, and my brand new out-of-the-box whoop doesn't want to get over the motor protocol issue. Turn off bidirectional D-shot. My guess is you have BLHeli-S ESCs, and they don't support bidirectional D-shot until you flash Blue Jay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Plenty.
Isn't there some warning bug? Yeah, there's a warning bug where motor protocol shows up instead of other arming warnings.
So you're saying motor protocol isn't the problem; it's something else, but it's the wrong
correct
error message. Wow.
Yeah, give me just a second.
That's
crash
obscure.
flip mode is on. Disable. Check your modes tab for crash flip mode, and make sure you don't have crash flip mode on by accident. There's a bug in Betaflight in configurator. I think it's 1010, where it displays the wrong warnings. If you go into the CLI and type status, it will give you the correct warnings. But if they're displayed on the UI in the setup tab on the right side, they don't show correctly. And I believe they are correct also if you go in the online configurator. Just so you know, that's a bug I've seen a lot where it just says motor protocol and people think something's wrong and they can't fix it. And it's because some other flag is wrong. So.
Interesting. Do you also see it correctly or incorrectly in the OSD? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I believe it's correct in the OSD. It should be.
It's just a configurator bug. Wow, that's a good one. Thank you, Plenty. Let's see. Do I still use the GX12 as my daily driver? Yes, I do. Now, you say, do you recommend it for thumbing pilots? And I'm not a thumbing pilot, so I couldn't say, but I do use my GX12 as my daily driver. Like it a lot. Yep. Are lithium high volt worth the little extra you can charge them to? You get a little extra out of them. It's not that much. I think for most people, high volts, for micro drones, like little 1S 550 milliamp hour let's say 550 milliamp hour, maybe 750 milliamp hours or lower. For 1S, 2S, 550 or lower, high volt makes sense. Those batteries are so small, you need all you can get. Charge them high volt. When you get to bigger batteries, the advantage of high volt is not that great. And the consequences in terms of the longevity of the battery, like you get less longevity. They don't perform as well as a larger battery. So like you have 1,000 milliamp hour battery and you'll get, whatever, 10 amps out of it at 10C. But if you have 1,000 milliamp hour high volt, it's not really 1,000 milliamp hour cell. It's really an 800 milliamp hour cell. And that remaining 200 milliamp hours are because you overcharged it. But the C rating is actually effectively lower. It doesn't, well, I don't know if that's how the engineering or the math works, but practically speaking, I've found that the batteries tend to have a lot more sag than you'd expect. And you start them out charged to 4.35 volts, but the minute you start hitting the throttle, it sags down and you get maybe an extra, 20 seconds or 30 seconds of flight time out of it, and then you're done. It's just not worth it. The other place where high volts matter is if you absolutely need that extra 5%, 7%, whatever of battery life, right? If you're doing a long-range run, some kind of record-breaking long-range run, that difference between 4.2 and 4.35 might be the difference between breaking the record and not breaking the record, but you are reducing the lifespan of your batteries as a result.
Can you answer Riz FPV's question in the Discord? He is very...
He wants to know if I've started my Chupito build. That one?
Yes.
I have not started my Chupito build. I've just had other things I'm working on. I don't know what to tell you. I have it. I would like to build it. I haven't gotten around to building it yet. TBS was nice enough to send it to me, which surprised me. Not, just because they know that I am slow, and oftentimes I'm like, thank you, and then don't do anything for a long time, which is not what someone wants when they release a new product. But they sent it to me, and I appreciate it, and I do intend to build it, but I haven't built it yet. I have an HDZero AIO15 on the way. Looking at the motor plugs, I have no idea how I'm supposed to remove them. Can I break the pins and still solder to the pads? Let's look. How are you supposed to remove them to solder to the... No, you don't need to remove them. Solder to the outside. Don't remove the plugs. I don't think you have to. Just solder to the outside. I can't point with my mouse. Do you see these little castellated pads here? 1, 2, 3. That's the motor pad, or 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure which it is. This is Is this R3? Where are the castellated? I assume. Oh no, are those not the motor pads? Oh no, those are not the motor pads. My bad. Okay, take it back. Do you have to break off the fucking connectors? Okay, I apologize. That was wrong. It sure looks like those are motor pads, but I guess they aren't. No. I don't know about that. I guess, yeah, you can desolder them? FPJV says you can wiggle off the plastic and then desolder the pins. I guess that's what I would do. What could you, and this is a wild one, could you just use the plugs? Like, yeah. I would probably carefully try. First of all, I would ask HDZero support and see what they say. I would start there. Its render in it says that they are the motor pads. Let's look at the manual. Some of these castellated pads are not the motor pads. Some of them might be motor pads, though. Let's try to find a manual. Can I find a manual? AI5 user manual. Surely this is in the manual. Okay, no. There is no indication that these pads are motor pads. The motor connectors in the manual are just indicated as the plugs. That's it. Nope. And there's no indication in the manual about how to remove the plugs or that there are separate motor. Yeah. Okay. So I would depin it rather than soldering to the pin, as Mattercat suggests. The three pads close to the plugs are motor pads. I mean, you say that, but these are labeled. They're labeled 5 volts and stuff. Look at the other side. Like, here, this is obviously the motor. Oh, what if you solder to the other side? Can you do that? Oh, okay. So, like, these are clearly motor pads. You can solder here. Oh, you could solder to the other side. Yep, these are motor pads. Where's the next one?
Other corner.
Yep. These are motor pads. Okay, you could clearly solder here. You do not need to remove the plug. Just solder to the back side where the pins go. These traces here. Yup. Don't depin it. See, I was confused because, like, this one here is 5 volts. And I originally thought that was a motor pad. But no. These 3 here, and are these castellated? Are they castellated? It doesn't look like all of them are castellated. That's this side one here.
Tiati says, plugs are God. The slight advantage of direct soldering is offset by the years of therapy you'll need from dealing with direct soldered motors. It's so funny how this hobby goes back and forth on that.
Yeah, there definitely was a time when direct soldering was goated. And everybody would have been like, fuck connectors. I don't like them. Yeah, what I would do is if I wanted to direct solder, I would not remove the plugs because you're more likely to just damage something. I would solder to the back side here. These 3 traces, and so on. And then if anything goes wrong, I would just desolder and use the plugs. Or I might just use the plugs to begin with. Yeah, got it. It sure looks like some of these have castellated pads, but not all of them, which is weird. Yeah. I don't know. There you go. Well, we figured that one out, guys. Real sleuths. We're real sleuths. Sleuths. I believe in my heart that... Thank you for $5, 73FPV. I believe in my heart that Joshua Bardwell is a secret fan of the 90 crew and heads at Infinity Loops on YouTube. Is that true? Well, there's only one way to prove that, and that's to go to YouTube. And see if I'm subscribed. And I am. I am a fan of Infinity Loops. I confess I just subscribed. I don't subscribe to anybody on YouTube. I just watch their content. But I was going to do a bit where, look, I'm subscribed. But I just couldn't. I literally just subscribed as I was reading the question, just for the bit. But no, like, and I love Infinity Loops content. Infinity Loops is one of the best micropilots out there. It's just insane what this dude does. Like, I can't do a trippy spin around a light pole. Never mind around a, you know. Now, I don't want to see you talk. I want to see you flying. Go back to flying. No offense. This dude is a hell of a pilot. Such a tiny space. And he's ripping it up. Oh. False alert. Where? See? I just crash when I do that. I'm being told that all of the pads are castellated on all the motor pads are castellated. So you could solder to the outside if you wanted to. I'd probably solder to the top just because it's easier. Yeah. Thank you for checking on that. Thank you for checking on that, Crom. Please clear out your Discord notifications. It's slowing down your PC. What do you mean? Where are my Discord notifications? Is it? It's slowing. Where are they? My inbox? My Discord inbox? How do I clear it? I don't know how to do that. How do I clear my inbox? Yeah, I'm not sure that's true. I do like saying castellated. I have a Cetus X Pro and I'm looking to get into for the next step. DJI seems difficult to get into because of the ban. Any suggestions, or should I just wait? Man, I would just stay with analog at this point. Nothing wrong with analog. Figure out what the future holds. Walksnail Ascent, Walksnail Avatar, DJI ban, HDZero. You got analog, man, just stick with analog. Analog's been fine for a long time. And, you know, maybe in a few months you'll figure out a direction you want to go. Yeah, that's what I would say. Analog for life. Just Alt F4 to clear, to clear your notifications. That's funny. Simpre says, I have a new 5-inch I built with a Vista polar cam. From time to time, the FPS gets super low and it's on 10 volt. What could this be? I don't think it's a bad MIPI connector. I don't know. Just gut check the FPS getting low. Usually, bad MIPI results in image distortion. But I don't have a great advice on what else could cause the FPS to get super low. Like you could just start swapping out parts, like swap out the Vista. See if it's just got something wrong with the Vista. I don't have a great suggestion for you, I'm sorry to say. There's not a lot of information here to try and you know, home in on it, unfortunately. O4 Pro, ways to prevent the UFL from ripping off. Secure your antennas. That's the answer. Thoughts on using a SkyZone 030 with a VRX? I can't find anything on how well it works. I remember that the SkyZone HDMI input had okay latency, but it wasn't the 030 that I tested. It was the 04X. Now, they're very similar in a lot of ways. I think you're going to be okay. It's unlikely that the HDMI latency is so extreme that it's going to like ruin your experience of flying. I would probably not worry about it. Unless you just require the lowest of lowest latency. JB, will you personally stock up on 04s? Nope. Nope. If there was going to be a temporary disruption in supply, I might stock up to get through it. But if there's going to be a ban, just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm out. I'm not going to like, I don't need DJI that bad. I would like to have DJI. It would be my choice. But if it's, I'm not going to like do some shady, like, oh, the thing is, if no one else can get 04s, what's the point of making content about it? So I'm just going to go to what everyone else is using, you know? Going back to analog. Going back to analog. It's like Back to the Future. Just the rest of the world, I guess. Yeah, I mean, half or more of my audience is in the USA, so, you know. If I can't get the stuff, it's kind of hard to make content about it. I could probably get it one way or another. I'm also just kind of like, F it, right? I feel a little bit relieved. Like, oh, I don't have to give a shit what DJI does anymore. Oh, that's kind of nice. It's like, you know, when you get fired from your job and on the one hand, now you can't pay the rent. But on the other hand, you wake up the next morning and you don't have to go to work that day. And just for a minute, you're like, oh, this is kind of nice. It's going to suck next month when the rent's due. But for just a minute, you're like, this is okay. You know, DJI is banned. Oh, I can't review DJI products anymore. Wait, I don't have to give a shit about DJI anymore. Okay. It's going to suck. But for just a minute, it's like, you're like, oh, this is okay. Oh, maybe the next government will lift the ban. Mighty bold of you to assume there's going to be another government. And on that note, we're going to wrap up the stream. Good night, everybody. See you next Sunday. Bye, everybody.